আমি স্টার্ট করে দিয়েছি লাইভ।
Namaste.
श्रूयते?
It's gone live. Namaste. এখানে লাইভ হয়ে গেছে কি?
হ্যাঁ ম্যাডাম, লাইভ আছে।
Namaste and a very warm welcome to everybody who has joined this live session today. Susayam Sarvebhyaha Hardika Swagatam Asmin Dvitiye Satre live session यद् अस्माकम् अस्ति तत्र द्वितीये सत्रे सर्वेषाम् अत्र हार्दिक स्वागतम्। तर्हि अद्य भवन्तः इदानीं प्रायः इंटरमीडिएट लेवल तस्य पाठनं समापितवन्तः स्युः, प्रायः अन्ते आगच्छति. So I think most of you are now going through all the verbs and all in the intermediate course. And I would love to hear from you, those who have joined us online. Please introduce yourselves. कुतः आगच्छति, नाम किम्, एतत् सर्वं किञ्चित् वदन्ति चेत् उत्तमं भवति. And we will then, I'll take up some questions. केचन प्रश्नाः तत्र आगताः सन्ति, तान् प्रश्नान् वयं द्रक्ष्यामः. And then I will sorry, there was a echo there. So I would love to hear from you, and please tell me your any questions you might have. There were a few who were asking me about the exams. So I'll start with that because I think that's what's coming up next. So in the exams itself, the good news is that we will be mainly addressing all the assignment questions that you have. So if you've been doing the assignments regularly, and please ensure that you're doing them, because if you're not, then there is a challenge in the way we are, there will be a challenge that even if you do your exams well, but because you haven't done the assignments, you will unfortunately miss on the degree. So you have to have completed a certain percentage of the assignments in order to get the degree or the certificate for this program. So I request you all to please make sure that you are actively doing all the assignments that are being shared with you. Tari atra I can see atra Dr. Mauna Gupta asti, Susayam. तर्हि अत्र यथा यथा यावत् यावत् शक्यं शक्नुवन्ति संस्कृतेन सम्भाषणं, संस्कृतस्य उपयोगं कर्तुं प्रयत्नं कुर्वन्तु इति मम विनम्र प्रार्थना भवति. Because it's only when you are applying what you are learning that you will realize the gaps in what you don't yet know, and you will gain the confidence in what you're able to understand. Astu. So I have here Esaki Muttuji is there, Pranama Mohodaya, Dr. Gupta Mohodaya Tatra Vadati. Punaha, we have also with us, just see who are the other persons who have joined us. So we have Atra Pashwe Pashyama, Omkar Mohodaya, Namo Namah Arye, Namo Namah, Ameya Thakur Desai Asti, Senthil Mohodaya Asti, Namaste. Kankate to be explained, please. Tat kim asti, the dhatu and the relationship with Mitrani. Tat punaha vadatu. Kankate to be explained, please. The dhatu and relationship with Mitrani. Can you just please elaborate the context? Then I will be in a better position to understand the situation. Vikram Sharma ji vadati namo namaha guruvara dhanyavada. Namaste aham adhuna bharat desham न वसामि एवं वा मम परीक्षा कथं भविष्यति तर्हि परीक्षार्थं तु भवन्तः कृपया NPTEL तत्र लिखन्तु इदानीं कोविड काले बहवः विदेशतः योजितवन्तः अतः इदानीं विदेशेषु अपि संस्कृतपरीक्षाः लिख्यन्ते So because of the COVID, there were many people who joined these courses from different parts of the world, and therefore there has been a whole arrangement to attend these exams while you are in different countries other than Bharatam. So please get in touch with NPTL. If you write to the NPTL office, they will be able to guide you about the best way in which you can uh, apply as well as participate in the exams and make the most of this certificate program that you have done. Astu. Now, another important thing is that each of these courses that you are doing with spoken Sanskrit is a Sambhashita Sanskritam. It is a spoken Sanskrit course. Ataha, and more so, it is an FTP also, which means that this is a faculty development program equivalent. So, what I would really encourage all of you to do is the best way that you can retain and also develop your own skill is to identify any one person whom you are ready to teach this language to. सो एकमपि जनं चित्वा तत्र स्वभाषां पाठयन्तु संस्कृतस्य तत्र अभ्यासः तत्र व्याकरण स्थैर्यं भवति व्याकरणगाम्भीर्यं किं वदामः व्याकरणे गभीरता भवति यदि स्वस्य पठनम् अन्यान् पाठयन्ति. So the more you're able to try and transmit what you know to somebody else, you will discover that your own understanding of the Sanskrit language, the Sanskrit grammar, Visheshataha in its applied context, that will be increased. Ataha kripaya, just see if you can identify someone to teach it to. अत्र ऐसा कि मुत्तुजी वदति, please resubmit an opportunity for missing assignments. That unfortunately न संभवम, because they do this at a large scale of a few lakhs of students. So they will not be able to make an exception. But what I would suggest is that we have July, September, 2 months. So whatever is remaining, please make sure that you are completing all the assignments. Please don't take it lightly, and more so because yadi, if you're doing the assignments, then it will be an aid for you to do क्या बोलते हैं, the exams easily, because it is in the same tone in which the exams also will be conducted, in the sense that you have whatever kind of questions you get in your assignments are pretty much similar in nature in the kind of questions that you will encounter in the final exams. And in the final exams, there will be, of course, like you do even in these, there will be oral components, etc. So, kripaya assignments, गृहकार्याणि अवश्यं कुर्वन्तु इति किं वदामः, सविनम्र प्रार्थना. And यदि परीक्षायाम् इतोपि प्रवेष्टुम् अवसरः अस्ति, कृपया तत्र प्रविशन्तु. So please try and make this opportunity an occasion for you to complete this course and also to do the exam, not for how many marks you will get. Of course, that is, I cannot say that that's not important, or that doesn't count for us. We are all driven by the kind of scores. It gives us an assessment of who we are, and it ties into how interested we can be in something. But what I will humbly request is that please still consider doing the exam. And if you've not registered and if there is still scope, please make sure that you do register and give it a shot. Just because of the exam, there will be an incentive for you to try even harder. And like I said, if you've not identified a Sanskrit buddy, यदि अस्माकं गणे संस्कृतमित्रं न प्राप्तवन्तः, कृपया ekam mitram chinvantu. Find a Sanskrit buddy and try and see if you can really practice your Sanskritam with that person. Prerna ji vadati namaste, Mauna Gupta ji vadati, Mauna aham, Mauna Gupta asmi, aham IKS master trainer asmi. Oh, uttamam, uttamam, महान् सन्तोषः. भवान् कुतः कृपया वदतु, तदपि सन्तोषकरं भविष्यति. एकः प्रश्नः, एकं प्रश्नः. ओंकार महोदय, just ekam, and I'm just taking the opportunity to help you relate to these terms. And this is exactly what is the very special feature of the Sanskrit language, which is entirely like this computer system. Na? Like if this, then that. So the moment you're looking at a word, if it is a noun, immediately your mind, your brain has to start a processing. It is default. If this, then ta 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 ta. If that, then ta 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 ta. Evam. Okay. So the moment you see a word, a noun, the first question you have to ask yourself is, what is the lingaha? Kaha lingaha etasya padasya. Okay. So find out the linga. Then after that, the next question is, what is the anta? What is the ending of that word? The moment you have the linga, you know that every other word that will be associated with that word will have to take on that linga. So the second question, very technically, would be linga and vachana. These are the most important things to determine. Once you have the linga, the vachana, the third one would be the what is the anta? What is the ending of that word? Akaranta asti, ikaranta, kim asti? Tad jnanam avashakam asti. Astu. Once you have that also, the next prashna is ka vibhaktihi. Okay, what is the position of that word in your thought process, in the sentence you want to frame? So this is a very important, if I may say, default processing that your brain would have to undertake when you are working with the Sanskrit language, and especially the applied part of it. Astu. Or even, so one is of course when you are trying to use Sanskrit, yada Sanskrita vyavaharartham prayatnam kurvanti, tada etadrisha chintanam atyavashakam asti. Dvitiyam asti yada Sanskritam pathanti. So when you're studying Sanskrit, then how do you divide the word, etc., etc., to try and identify the words. So if you have a sandhi word, you break it up, you identify the individual words, either the vibhakti form or the verb form, and then from there you can work backwards and figure out the exact meaning of that term. But what is very helpful, and that's why I keep talking about, or I keep insisting about the spoken Sanskrit part of it. Karanam, the more you try and apply the language, the more you're basically facilitating this entire process of speed calculation in the head. Shigram manasi tatra chintanam bhavati yat एतस्य शब्दस्य किं रूपम् अस्ति एतेन शब्देन सह किं कः शब्दः गच्छति. So the moment you have identified the word, and if it is the subject, immediately your attention should go on the verb. So this is like if this, then that. And these are by default connections that you have to make. Astu. So you've got the word, the noun, and if it is a pullinga, strilinga, it doesn't matter until and unless you're doing it in the simplified past that we're doing. Okay, gatavan or gatavati, ekavachanam, dvivachanam, bahuvachanam, what will that be? But besides that, the gender of the word doesn't normally matter in terms of the verb conjugation. Astu. So for that, but what would matter is the number and the person. And that would then determine what would be the ending. And for the verb, of course, number, no, first is the purusha. Kaha purushaha tam kriyam karoti. Dvitiyam asti kim vachanam asti. So what is the vachanam for that? And finally, you have to say what is the kala or kaha lakaraha tatra yojyate. And lakarena saha, of course, tatra yadi anyat kimapi asti, tat sarvam yojayanti tatra. Okay, so these are very, very important there. So Omkarji, the reason I took that up was because when you said ekam prashnaha, it would ideally become ekaha prashnaha. Astu. Because of the word prashnaha that is there. Assignment 8 madhye. Astu. Can you also, Piyusha, so we're very happy to have Piyush also with us. Piyush brother.
आम् प्रणामः
नमस्ते. अत्र ओङ्कार महोदय वदति यद् असैन्मेण्ट् 8 मध्ये एकः प्रश्नः अस्ति तत्र कङ्कत्ते एण्ड् मित्राणि. भवान् प्रश्नस्य संख्यां यदि वदति सहायकरं भवति.
आमां कङ्कते तत्र तु द्विवचन अस्ति महोदय चिन्तितवान् तत्तु धातुरूपम् अस्ति तर्हि एतत् तु शब्दरूपं अहमेकवारं पुनः पश्यामि इदानीं कृपया अग्रे चलतु कृपया अहं पश्यामि पुनः तत् क्वश्चन्.
Kankatam is the
noun अस्ति not
it's the comb. Kankatam is the word for the comb, and therefore kankate would be dvivachanam. Astu. Atra punaha Mohana Karimji vadati. Good evening, Susaya Monaji. तत्पूर्वं राजेश्वरी जी अपि उक्तवती नमस्ते प्रणामः मोहित जी वदति मम नाम मोहिता अहं च दिल्ली नगरस्य अस्मि अहं मैनेजमेंट प्रोफेशनल अस्मि उत्तमं महान् सन्तोषः लिप्सा मोहन्ती भगिनी वदति नमो नमः आर्ये नमस्ते ओंकाजी पुनः वदति यथा NPTEL नीतिनिर्देशाः एकवारं गम्यन्ते कोऽपि विस्तारः न दीयते इत्युक्ते किम् यदा तत्र कोऽपि विस्तारः इत्युक्ते किं विस्तारः नाम किम् इच्छति भवान् तत्र ज्ञातुं तदपि कृपया वदतु उत्तमं धन्यवादः भवान् संशोधितवान् एकः प्रश्नः इति धन्यवादः तर्हि भवान् कृपया नीतिनिर्देशाः एकवारं गम्यन्ते कोऽपि विस्तारः कीदृशविस्तारस्य प्रतीक्षा अस्ति तदपि भवान् कृपया ज्ञापयतु so let us know what are the kinds of clarifications you would need for any instructions that comes from NPTEL and we'll try our best to make sure that you have access that you have the explanation. Mohanaji Vadati, kindly explain about the final exam details question pattern. So Mohanaji, we spoke about it. You will get the exam questions in the same pattern as the assignments. So I was really encouraging everybody to ensure that you're doing the assignments. Don't neglect the assignments because that is your exam practice. And secondly, if you haven't completed a certain percentage of exams, then, a certain percentage of the assignments, then even if you do brilliantly in the exam, you will unfortunately not get the certificate because they are totally dependent on that completion of those assignments. So here with this NPTEL course, there's an expectation of a continuous application and a learning. And the assignments are just a kind of a instrument to know that you have been continuously attending the classes and participating in the assignments, etc. So they'll be of the same nature as the assignments, including the oral. So you will have oral questions as well. So, and and then there will be written, oral, a combination of things, as you have seen in the previous cases. So we've got dhatu in kankate is a dhatu. Dhatu nasti, as Piyush said. Omkar Monde? Senthilji Vadati, any Sanskrit dictionary for learning more and more Sanskrit words, Arya. So there is Narendra Arya's book itself, the functional aspects of Sanskrit, functional and communicative aspects of Sanskrit learning. Those are, that is a very good book to build a basic vocabulary. Then Sanskrit Bharati has some simple vocabulary, dictionaries that they've got. That is another one. If you want to look at more advanced kind of a dictionary, Sanskrit dictionary, you've got the Shabda Kalpadhruma and the Vachaspatyam. These are also apps today. Apps, and you can also get them on the website. So if you go to these apps and you put in the word, they will very often tell you what is the root of that word. Then they will also tell you what are the various applications in different texts that you find. Piyush is a great expert in both these texts. So he would maybe sometime be very happy to show you how to go through them. So I would suggest maybe before, if we get another opportunity to meet, do consider looking up this Shabda Kalpa Dhruma and Vachaspatyam. We'll put it up on the group discussion as well. So that is one. Besides that, Monio Williams is there. He's still the most authoritative dictionary, extensive and authoritative dictionary in the Sanskrit language. He has a Sanskrit to English as well as English to Sanskrit. Apte is another one that you can look at. Apte Sanskrit to English, English to Sanskrit dictionaries are available. And you can also look up online. There are several foreign universities that have now brought in this online version for looking at Sanskrit. Another very helpful place for extending your vocabulary, I must tell you this, is this spoken Sanskrit dictionary that I think Sanskrit Bharati has put up. So if you just type spoken Sanskrit dictionary, you will get a very interesting access to easy vocabulary, oft used terms, etc. And there I will try and see if I can share that with you on the chat here. Wait, just one second. Spoken Sanskrit dictionary. Atra, the only thing is you would have to know a little bit of the representation of the Sanskrit letters in the English script. Karanam, Sometimes you would have to, if it's like long vowels, they don't have to be capital. The shs, the sh is a sh, the murdhanya is a capital S. So the murdhanya sounds tend to get a capital. So you would just need to learn a little bit of those sound equivalences between Sanskrit and English letters. Astu, Tishtatu, I'm just sharing with you the spoken Sanskrit. Atra, I'll just share. Spoken, and this is a good resource. Spoken Sanskrit Dictionary. There are other very valuable resources that you might want. So there is ashtadhyayi.com. Sansadhani is there, ashtadhyayi.com is there. So maybe what we will do is we'll share these with you on the group in the discussion forum there. Astu. I'll just look at some other questions here. We've got Dr. Mona Gupta वदति अहं फरीदाबाद नगरे अस्मि अहं शब्दधातुरूप च पुस्तके विषये जानन् इच्छां करोमि. Okay, so there is Shabdarupa, Dhaturupa. These are small booklets, very helpful kind of booklets where you can get all the Shabdarupas tatra santi. Punaha Dhaturupani api tatra milanti. So see if you can purchase it online also. You should be able to get them today. Astu. So these are helpful books to get. And अत्र ओंकार महोदय वदति शब्दानां लिङ्गं तु अत्यन्तं भ्रान्तिकं भवति. तस्य स्मरणं वा अवगमनं वा कठिनम् अपि भवति. किं तस्य स्मरणार्थं किमपि युक्तिः कापि युक्तिः वा कोऽपि उपायः अस्ति? एतत्तु किञ्चित् कष्टकरं. तर्हि उपायः तु एकः उपायः अस्ति. उपायः अस्ति प्रयोगः. तर्हि यदि प्रयोगं स्मरन्ति ततः शब्दरूपस्य लिङ्गम् अवगन्तुं शक्नुवन्ति. So if you know the application of a word, then you will be able to easily identify what the linga would be. That is, in my opinion, the easiest way to do it. अतः संस्कृतपठनम् आवश्यकम् अस्ति. And संस्कृतसम्भाषणस्य तु प्रयोगं यावत् कुर्वन्ति तावद् भाषाज्ञानं वर्धिष्यते युष्मासु. अस्तु. So that is one thing. But नो चेत् भवान् यत् कथयति तत् सत्यमेव. कारणम् इकारस्य तत्र इकारान्तस्य पुल्लिङ्गे अपि भवति, स्त्रीलिङ्गे अपि भवति, and नपुंसकलिङ्गे अपि भवति. तर्हि एकत्र सहायकं भवति if you remember the द्विवचनम् of these words. Prayoge. Dvivachanam is a helpful place to remember the vibhakti rupa. So if you have, for example, atra, tatra, yeah, that would be a helpful way of remembering them. Astu. Tari Omkarji vadati, but mitrani is not dvivachanam. Mitrani to dvivachanam nasti. But mitrani dve kankate. And then I don't know. Piyushi, tatra, Piyushi, तत्र मित्राणि तद् वाक्यं किमस्ति एकवारं भवान् वक्तुं शक्नोति किम्?
तत्र तु match the two columns.
Okay.
एतादृशः प्रश्नः अस्ति. अहं
तत्र वदतु.
वदामि. कङ्कते. The first column has कङ्कते सहोदर्यौ तासां तेषां, and in the second column सम्पादिकानां ते नायकानां and mitrani. Now
no, what is the question? Match the columns in terms of the vibhakti,
match the words in the same vibhakti or case and linga. That is the gender. Vibhakti and linga.
Vibhakti and linga. Astu. So what are the two vibhakti and linga? Correct. Tari atra tu Tari vibhakti mohdaya atra Omkar mohdaya. Vibhakti to kankate can be because it is dvivachanam. So it can either be so that is the trick part of it. It was a bit of a trick question. Karanam kankate can also be saptami vibhakti. So it can also be ekavachanam saptami vibhakti. Or it can be dvivachanam, prathama and dvitiya vibhakti and sambodhanam. Astu. Tari, it has all these options. So by elimination, you would have had to arrive at it. So because if you take the Prathama Dvitiya, Mitrani is Prathama Dvitiya is also Mitrani Bahuvachanam. So he had said that it has to match on the Vibhakti and on the Linga. So the both of them are Napunsaka Linga, Mitram and Kankatam Dvayamapi Napunsakam Asti, and they can be either Prathama Vibhakti or Dvitiya Vibhakti. Astu, Mohoday, that's Spashtam Asti. No, I hope that that is now clear. So there are sometimes, of course, trick questions, and that's why the other forms you would have to know them and Tadeva. So that is one. And generally, the questions are well double checked. So generally, doshaha na bhavati. Kintu 100% shatapratishatam unfortunately sarvada na bhavati. Kadachit lagu lagu doshaha api gachanti. But generally, foolproof bhavati. Adhikadhika samaye. तो मित्राणि द्विवचनं नास्ति किन्तु मित्राणि नपुंसक अस्ति एंड विभक्ति मध्ये प्रथमा द्वितीया विभक्ति अस्ति अतः अस्तु then Omkar ji vadati someone was asking about NPTEL missed assignments. I was just telling that no extension is the policy. All must note this. I just wanted to inform all who are asking. Satyameva Satyam. Anju Gupta ji namaste. Swagatam. Aham Jyotisham patami uttamam. ज्योतिष ज्योतिषशास्त्र बहु तत्र मुख्यशास्त्र अस्ति स्वस्मिन् तत्र किं वदामः आम् अस्ट्रोनमि इत्यादिकविषये कालगणना एतद्विषये बहु महत्वपूर्णयोगदानानि सन्ति तत्र प्रेरणा ताम्रकर्जी वदति some non-living things also treated as mask. Satyam. Not only, not only non-living things, you will be surprised that in certain cases we also have feminine objects that are treated as masculine. For example, the word daraha, which means wives. Okay, the word wife can also have another word, another synonym, which is daraha. And that is because and it's a pullinga bahuvachana rupam. So it's just interesting. Sanskrit is a very disruptive language in terms of fixation of gender on the object itself. And there's a very ruchira discussion. I'll do it after I'll just answer the questions. But I'd just like to share that perspective with you as well. How to find which words will be neuter? Easiest is that you have to know an application. So that is why adhikadikam tasya shabdasya prayogam kurvanti. Ideally in the bahuvachanam. Then for many words, especially akaranta, bahuvachana prayoga, you will know whether it is pullinga or napunsakalinga. That's one of the fastest ways you can know the linga, identify the linga more or less correctly. Punaha, NS Mudigonda ji vadati, can we go for MA Sanskrit open distance? Absolutely. So this MA Sanskrit will depend on your age, especially if you want to do it with Tirupati University, etc. I think they have an age bar, an eligibility age of 21 years. If you're above that, anybody can take it. So you can do it, and it all depends on how intensely or how much you have practiced and you've learnt it. What I would also recommend is that January mase advanced course bhavati. Tadapi avashyam kurvantu karanam tari bhashaya itopi jnanam bhavati. So what I would recommend you do is, of course, that think of going into the advanced level and completing that, but parallelly build your vocabulary and build your studies by looking at different texts that are also available. Because in when you're doing MA Sanskrit, you will encounter maybe in Sahitya, Vyakarana, these are a little more specialized kind of domains. But yadi Sanskrit basic jnanam asti tari avashyam kartum shaknuvanti. Anju Gupta ji vadati aham Delhi nagare vasami uttama mahan santoshaha. I am able to attempt assignments, but I'm not feeling confident to speak Sanskrit. Avashyam. That is very understandable because there is no environment to do so. And therefore, this is a challenge. I have to admit that confidence in spoken Sanskrit will only happen when you have an ambience and when you are applying the language. Nochit kashtam bhavati eva. Ataha, one is that if you can find a community तर्हि यदि भवती यदि भवती देहल्याम् अस्ति, तत्र तु संस्कृतभारत्याः बहवः गणाः सन्ति। तर्हि संस्कृतभारती झण्डेवाला मध्ये अस्ति इति मन्ये तत्र। अथवा संस्कृतभारती चेक् करोतु देहल्यां कुत्र अस्ति, संस्कृत प्रमोशन् फौण्डेशन् अस्ति, तेषां सम्पर्कं करोतु। पुनः तत्र पृच्छतु यत् कुत्र कुत्र संस्कृतगणाः सन्ति। Find out where all there are active Sanskrit communities and just join along whenever you can in some event that they might have. My very big recommendation to many of you would be that if you really want to get a sufficient degree of mastery over the language, ekam tu asti atra prarambha asti. So this is a beginning, this is an initiation, and you are studying Sanskrit in this fashion online. But if you want to get a very good immersion in Sanskrit, then Dehliam prati panchadasha dinani Samskrita Bharatyaha Samvadashala bhavati. So if you can spare the time in Delhi, every 15 days they have a Samvadashala. I think it is still going on. So the Samvadashala is a absolute immersion in Sanskrit. Everything happens in Sanskrit. Prataha uthaya ratrau nidra paryantam sarvamapi Sanskritam eva bhavati tatra. Sanskritam jagat tat. Astu. So it is a deep immersion in Sanskrit. Besides that, what I will also highly recommend is that Samskrita Bharati does this Shikshaka Prashikshanam. Very often it happens in the month of May during the summer holidays. I know that summer holidays is not always the most easy time for you because family holiday, etc. But if you can participate in a Dashadina Sambhashana Sanskritam, if you can go to a Prashikshanam of Sanskrit Bharati, that would be a fantastic opportunity to meet with like-minded people and get the Sanskrit immersion. Ekavaram tat pravishati na, anantaram Sanskritam swayameva agamishyati. Sanskritam पूर्णरूपेण शतप्रतिशतं शुद्धं प्रतिमुहूर्ते वक्तुं सहजं नास्ति. Okay, so one has to also admit that Sanskrit is not the easiest of languages to speak 100% correctly all the time. Tad napekshitam also arambhe. It's not that that is the expectation. Yadi kartum shaknuvanti swasya eva mahan labhaha. If you can do it, then that full benefit is entirely yours, because one of the biggest reasons why spoken Sanskrit is an absolute gem to possess as a possibility. And also, adhikadikam shuddhataya yada vadanti, the more and more you speak it correctly, the joy of being able to put your consciousness on every sound that is uttered. This is, I can share with you as having lived this experience. It is an unparalleled kind of a joy where when you're speaking it, then your mind is computing so fast, and just the thrill of getting it correct, which means you have to anticipate, you have to make the connections, you have to make the associations. Tasya ruchireva bhinna, and what it does to your mind is a whole different ballgame. अस्तु मनसि तस्य यः प्रभावः भवति, सः प्रभावः अतीव मनः सुतीक्ष्णं करोति. See, for example, just what I just said here, manah sutikshnam karoti. One would have tended to make the mistake that, manah must be an akaranta pullinga. But kinchid vyakana jnanena tatra bodha bhavati that manas shabdena agachati. Manas shabdaha napunsakalinga shabda asti. That prathama vibhaktyam ekavachane manah iti bhavati. Tatra panini sharanam. Katham manas arabhya manah paryantam agachamah. Panini niyamaha tatra santi. Sutrani tatra milanti. But what is important is this awareness in your mind. Tarasu esha napunsakalinga shabda asti. Ataha manah bhavati. Kintu sutikshnam. Karanam napunsakalinga ekavachanam asti. तर्हि विशेषणं तत्र शब्दरूपेण सह सङ्गच्छति. ओके, विशेष्य धातु विशेष्यस्य किं वदामः लिङ्ग पुनः वचनम् अनुसृत्य उपयुज्यते। अस्तु तर्हि तथा यदि कर्तुं शक्नुवन्ति एण्ड् यदि अवसरः मिलति आन्लैन् NPTEL मध्ये अस्माकं प्रोफेसर् मल्हार् कुलकर्णी महोदयस्य पाणिनीव्याकरणस्य विषये अपि अष्टाध्यायी विषये NPTEL पाठ्यक्रमः अस्ति. So there is this NPTEL course by Professor Malhar Kulkarni ji from IIT Mumbai. That's another course that you might want to do to hone your grammatical knowledge. Astu. But at the end of the day, Sanskritam, you can either have, if you get in more and more into the hardware of the subject, tattu asti eva. That would be a lifelong winner. But if you at least practice, want to apply it, even the software, just knowing the vibhakti forms, learning the tricks of the vibhakti, that is what is important. At the end of the intermediate course, I will be sharing with you some simple songs that Professor Narendra, the Dr. Narendra Arya has created from the Sri Aurobindo Ashram. Some simple songs that can help you to, through lyrics and verse, help you to retain the grammatical endings. ओके सो तदपि प्रयत्नं कुर्वन्तु कदाचित् तदपि लाभाय भवति इति जनाः विचारयन्ति ओके सो सेन्थिल् जी वदति राइट नाउ फॉर स्पोकन संस्कृत वोकैबुलरी और संस्कृत ग्रामर आर्ये सो इन माय अंडरस्टैंडिंग प्रथमं तु तत्र व्याकरणम् आवश्यकम् द संस्कृतनेस ऑफ संस्कृत रियली इज इन इट्स व्याकरणम् that iti mama chintanam asti. Karanam, it's really about how words relate to each other. That precision of word completion, if I may say, or word sufficiency, self-sufficiency. Tad mukhyam asti. तद् यदि भवति तर्हि तस्य यदि ज्ञानं भवति तर्हि संस्कृत शब्दकोशस्य स्वयमेव वर्धनं भविष्यति प्रयोगेन अधिकं पठनेन प्रयोगेन शब्दकोशस्य वर्धनं भविष्यति so you will acquire the vocabulary the more exposed you are to the literature to people talking it etc astu and in that context also what you would have to do is that you can also what I say inscript in your application so if you're saying boyah schoolam gosti for me that's uttamam to start with astu because what is important is the expression and why I suggest this is because one of the biggest hindrances in spoken Sanskrit is the felt need for 100% correctness and 100% purity of Sanskritam. तत् कष्टकरम् अस्ति सर्वेषां कृते कष्टकरं न तु केवलं नूतनानां ये पठन्ति इदानीम् अस्माकं कृते अपि बहुवर्षाणि संस्कृतं पठित्वा अपि बहुवारं भवति यत् संस्कृतशब्दः मुखे न भवति कारणं प्रयोगे नास्ति उत किमपि भवितुम् अर्हति किन्तु यद् मुख्यम् अस्ति तत्र for getting the confidence that I can apply Sanskrit for getting that confidence the first and foremost thing is to just familiarize yourself with the grammar and speak it. Whatever vocabulary is in your head, make sure that the grammar is Sanskrita. Tad avashakam asti. If you can do that, you will see gradually Sanskritam will come on its own. Nama anya shabdaha. But Sanskrit vocabulary api mahat asti. Tat shabdakosha api mahan asti. Why? Because of the way in which words are constructed. That is a different kind of an enjoyment altogether. Astu. And अस्माकं मातृभाषाः सम्यक् जानन्ति चेदपि संस्कृतस्य शब्दभण्डारस्य वर्धनं भवति. So there is also the regional languages that the more pure you speak it, it has a richer Sanskrit vocabulary. And therefore, स्वस्य मातृभाषामपि सम्यक् जानन्ति चेत् संस्कृतं स्वाभाविकरूपेण सहजं अनुभविष्यन्ति. अस्तु तर्हि अत्र Mudigonda Mahoday Katheti, is that advanced Sanskrit level available? Avashyam. Avashyam. Any specific name it has on Swayam? It's the same only, advanced level of spoken Sanskrit. Samanameva. And what we will do is, if the courses are already there. Astu. So what I will do is, I'll request Piyushji to put the 3 courses that are there on the discussion forum. We have the links and the PPTs are also available. So what you can do is before you or once you finish the intermediate course, start watching the Sanskrit, advanced Sanskrit level courses along with the PPTs already. because the course typically starts in January, late January, January 22nd, 24th, starts like that. And once the course starts, then it goes quite fast, as you would have noticed even with this intermediate level and whatever the study that you've done. So what I'm suggesting to help you with is that I'll give you the content in advance because it's already there on NPT, it's already there on the website. So, but you, because you will also have the PPT, you can start listening to it and, preparing from there. So that by the time the course starts, you're already familiar with the content. And I would just like to also share with you that the advanced course is, while it is, of course, telling you more about the grammatical rules, we talk of the karakas and the different aspects of the Sanskrit language, the focus of the advanced course is really to help a learner of Sanskrit appreciate the different components of the Sanskrit language. So you would have to know sandhis, you would have to know samasa, you would have to know the different pratyayas. Okay, so these are the different dimensions and the dhatus, the different types of dhatus. So it really is about trying to help you understand the extent of Sanskrit uh, language in terms of grammar. What are the different components that are required in order to be a good scholar of Sanskritam? अस्तु अस्तु that is the focus there. तो वयं प्रेषयामः पीयूष तत्र साहाय्यं करिष्यति प्रेषयितुम्.
Yes.
अंजु गुप्ता जी कथयति आर्य डू विजिट औरोबिन्दो आश्रम दिल्ली. आम् अहं तत्र गच्छामि किन्तु विरलं कारणम् अद्यत्वे अधिककालम् अहम् IIT खड्गपुरे एव भवामि. ऐ एम् एट् IIT खडगपुर मोस्ट्लि. सो देहली गमनं बहु अल्पं भवति अद्यत्वे, किन्तु यदा गच्छामि कदाचित् प्रयत्नं करोमि तत्रापि गन्तुं. मम तत्र मूलं श्री अरविन्द आश्रमे अस्ति पाण्डिचेर्याम्. अतः तेन सह तु एक आत्मीयता भवति एव संस्थायाः सह, संस्थया सह. अस्तु, तर्हि अत्र सेन्थिल् जी वदति, आर्य, is there any app that is helpful for conversation of Sanskrit? Unfortunately not yet. स्पोकन् संस्कृत ऐप् एतावता न कृतम् अस्ति. भवान् यदि टेक्निकल् जनः अस्ति विचारयितुं शक्नोति. अस्तु, ओंकार महोदय वदति इंदिरा गांधी नेशनल यूनिवर्सिटी इग्नू हैज BA MA MA अप्लाइड संस्कृत. उत्तमम्. तद् अवश्यं पश्यतु यदि कर्तुं शक्नुवन्ति. पुनः मद्रास् संस्कृत यूनिवर्सिटी अस्ति, कर्णाटक संस्कृत यूनिवर्सिटी अस्ति. एवं भिन्न भिन्न संस्थाः सन्ति ये संस्कृतं पाठयन्ति. पुनः भण्डारकर ओरिएण्टल् इन्स्टिट्यूट् रिसर्च इन्स्टिट्यूट् ते अपि सन्ति. बोरी इति भवति, ते अपि पाठयन्ति. एवं नाना संस्थाः सन्ति. व्योम संस्कृतम् एका संस्था अस्ति ऑनलाइन माध्यमेन. ओपन पाठशाला अन्या अस्ति संस्था. संस्कृतभारती तु अस्ति एव. पुनः यद् एकं रुचिरं भवितुम् अर्हति इस् द संस्कृत प्रमोशन फाउंडेशन. ते किं कुर्वन्ति, ते संस्कृतमाध्य न भिन्न विषयमाध्यमेन संस्कृताध्यापनं कुर्वन्ति. What they do is they try and teach you Sanskrit through a shastra. So learn Sanskrit through Ayurveda, for example, or learn Sanskrit through the Yoga Shastra. एवं कृत्वा भिन्न भिन्न विषयान् स्वीकृत्य ते संस्कृतं पाठयितुं प्रयत्नं कुर्वन्ति. And one of the best efforts they have put in is to teach the Gita, is to teach Sanskrit through the Bhagavad Gita. So if you go to Sanskrit Promotion Foundation website, you can even buy these books. They have online courses that are there, recorded, pre-recorded courses. अवश्यं तत्र विचारयितुं शक्नुवन्ति. अहम् अवश्यं संस्कृतभारत्यां गमिष्यामि. उत्तमं. तत्र अहं पठामि, लिखामि, वदामि च. महान् सन्तोषः, महान् सन्तोषः. अहम् इदानीम् एकवारं what I will also do is I will try and connect to the किं वदामः अत्र. There were a few questions that had come up. अहं तान् प्रश्नानाम् उत्तराणि तेषां प्रश्नानाम् उत्तराणि वक्तुं प्रयतिष्ये. अत्र अक्षय जी वदति, छात्रों में संस्कृत विषय में प्रीति, संस्कृत विषय के प्रति रुचि एवं जिज्ञासा कैसे उत्पन्न करे. So it's a very important question. which doesn't have a very easy answer. हाँ, इसका जवाब बहुत आसान, इसका उत्तर बहुत आसान नहीं है, और इसका कारण ये है कि आज का जो शिक्षा है, वो प्राधान्य तौर से आर्थिक लाभ के और हमको आकर्षित करता है. So whatever knowledge that whatever education that we are undertaking, we encourage our children to undertake, is primarily seen from the perspective of its material utility. Sanskrit, of course, has a lot of fantastic elements um, that. So I'll just give you my example. So at IIT Kharagpur, when I teach Sanskrit, my pitch for Sanskrit to teach Sanskrit to IIT students who come from different subjects is that if you study Sanskrit well, then your mind will become sharp and you will be a better coder. So I promote Sanskrit as a language of coding, because in coding you need to have a mind, a faculty of the mind, which is aimed towards precision. So if you can precisely, if you bring your attention to precision of expression, which is what the two dots, hyphen, dash, the one quote, all of this will make a difference in how well the program functions. And it is identically the case also with Sanskritam. With Sanskrit also, every little dot, every little letter has a position, has a role. So how, if you can start training your mind to pay attention to details, then the individual's mind can get naturally tuned towards becoming a better coder. This is one pitch. The other one is that the way in which Sanskrit uses the vocal system is so precise that if one practices spoken Sanskrit, then it also improves your hearing and speech mechanism. And the fallout of that is that a good knowledge, a good base of Sanskrit can help an individual pick up languages across the world in a very easy manner. Potentially, I'm saying all these things as potentially. There is no absolute claim, because there are different people who have different exposures, which will result in different ways that you study the language. But if you study Sanskrit in the spirit of the Sanskrit language and not just mechanically, then these are certain very powerful potentials that this language has to offer to whoever may want to learn it. As I said, uh, also because the grammar of the Sanskrit language is so precise, if this, then that, it has the potential of systematizing the brain to become a very good operating system for language acquisition again. But this is from a grammar perspective. The first one was more from the phonetic perspective, of sharpening your speech to hearing mechanism. The other aspect is from a grammar perspective, because your brain gets tuned to knowing how to analyze and how to store the data of different languages if you do it. But for that, what would be essential is also to have this eye for perfection while studying Sanskrit. That is the most important thing, that if you study Sanskrit and you have an eye for the detail of the language in terms of the ucharanam, in terms of the vyakaranam, then it is literally building a faculty within yourself, a faculty that is aimed towards precision. And in my understanding, this was also the reason why, as a civilization, we had achieved such heights of excellence in various knowledge domains. That's because this this quest for perfection also, I mean, starting from just the basic expression of a language to, at that point, it was not really a written component of the language, but just the what do you say, the precision of the language uh, sort of helped to sharpen the mind in a manner that it would not compromise it. It would not work on compromises of its environment and the work that it does. So these are certain great characteristics that this language has to offer to whoever studies the language with its spirit, not just as a mechanical thing. Iti mama chintanam tatra, at least. Piyusha, bhavan katham janan prerayishyati spoken Sanskrit. Chhatran katham bhavan prerayishyati. Bhavan tu patitavan Sanskritam. Mahavidyaleshu. So do you want to try and share your thoughts on how you think that we can make Sanskrit attractive for the next generation?
तत्र मम यत् चिन्तनमस्ति तत्तु केवलं क्यूरियोसिटी. I have to spread the curiosity. The only curiosity can help us to promote Sanskrit among students. So, Autsukyam is pradhanam. Asmin samaje, if औत्सुक्यस्य वर्धनम छात्राणां
Katham.
मध्ये
Katham Chhatranam
कथं
Autsukya Vardhanam
करिष्यामः.
Karishyati. Ha.
आम्.
Katham Autsukya Vardhanam Katham Kasmin Vishaye Cha Karishyati.
आम्. यथा संस्कृत व्याकरणस्य यथा पद्धतिः अस्ति, तस्याः पद्धतेः कथं चर्चा भवितुम् अर्हति. चिन्तयतु. छात्राणां नाम नामानि सन्ति, तर्हि नामस्य कथं उत्साहः जानीमः, तत्तु एकम् औत्सुक्यम् अस्ति. सर्वेषां
नामस्य उत्सर्गः, नामस्य मूलं किम्
उत्साह,
इति.
अर्थः, उत्साह डेरिवेशन्,
हा.
अर्थः, भारतीय दृष्टिः, नामस्य पश्चात् कथं कथा आख्यानं स्टोरी अस्ति, नामस्य अर्थः कः, एतत्तु एकम् उत्तमम् औत्सुक्यम् अस्ति. एतत्तु तत्र करणीयम्. There is no burden of Sanskrit. That everyone has curiosity to know his or her name, the meaning of his name or her name. That's the one curiosity. Second one is यदि अस्माकं विषयाः सन्ति, यस्मिन् विषये अहम् और वयम् अध्ययनं कुर्मः, विषयस्य पश्चात् भारतीय दृष्टि कथम् अस्ति, तत् ज्ञानार्थं तु संस्कृत अध्ययनं कर्तव्यम्. कथं? प्राचीन साहित्यं तु संस्कृते लिखितं. तस्मात् कारणात् यदि किञ्चित् भाषां पठित्वा विषयस्य आविष्कारः भवेत्, तत्तु कठिनमस्ति. अनेन प्रकारेण औत्सुक्यवर्धनं तु कर्तव्यम्. आम्.
आमां सत्यं. तथा औत्सुक्यवर्धनं तु अवश्यं करणीयं. तेन सह यदि लाभः योजितः भवति तर्हि इतोपि पुनः संस्कृतं तु स्कोरिङ्ग् सब्जेक्ट् अस्ति इति जनाः वदन्ति.
आम् आम्.
तर्हि बाल्यकाले तु तत्तु एकं चलितुं शक्नोति. स्कोरिङ्ग् सब्जेक्ट् अस्ति इति उक्त्वा.
स्कोरिङ्ग् सब्जेक्ट् एतत्तु कारितं. कथं कारितं? काठिन्यम् अस्ति, तस्मात् कारणात् सारल्यं कृतं. एतत्तु डिफरेण्ट् स्टोरी.
अस्तु अस्तु अस्तु. पुनः अत्र तर्हि अत्र अन्यदेकः प्रश्नद्वयं त्रयम् अस्ति, तदुक्त्वा समयः अपि समाप्तं भविष्यति. तर्हि अत्र अमेया भगिनी वदति, अमेयजी वदति, मम नामधेयम् अमेयः अस्ति. अस्तु, महोदय वदति, अहम् एकं प्रश्नं प्रष्टुम् इच्छामि. उपनिषदः पुराणानि अहं पठितुम् इच्छामि. किमस्ति? सरलं पुस्तकम् अस्ति वा? आरम्भार्थं सरलपुस्तकम् अस्ति वा आरम्भं कर्तुम्? अस्तु, तर्हि तत्र सरलं तु तथा पुस्तकं कष्टमस्ति, किन्तु यदि अनुवादं, तर्हि एकं तु अस्य संस्कृतं यदि सम्यक् जानन्ति, ततः अपि किञ्चित् लाभः भवति बहूनां मन्त्राणाम् अर्थबोधाय. सर्वदा सम्पूर्णमपि न, कारणं तत्र शब्दकोशः कश्चन वर्तते, नाम नूतनशब्द ज्ञानम् आवश्यकं भवति. किन्तु तद्विहाय एक वन्दे मातरं लैब्ररी ट्रस्ट् अस्ति. वन्दे मातरं लैब्ररी ट्रस्ट्. तत्र श्री अरविन्दो सोसैटी ते बहूनाम् अथवा प्रायः सर्वेषाम् उपनिषदां, मुख्य उपनिषदां, पुनः गीतायाः पुनः भिन्न भिन्न तथा केचन कार्याणि सन्ति येषां ते सम्यक् बोधितवन्तः ब्रेकअप् अपि अस्ति अन्वय अपि अस्ति पुनः तस्य किं वदामः अनुवादः अपि भवति so this is one website that you can all look at. It's the Vande Mataram Library Trust. Okay, this is a helpful. The app api asti tesham. You get some. And then pustakanam, because uh, because there is a whole thing of meaning. Tari, if you want to access the meaning of these texts, yatha Eknath Ishwaranji tesham karyani santi. Is a good author for helping you understand different Upanishads. And then Swami Ranganathananda has another fantastic, the Upanishads. But that is of course with it has the Kimadama the commentary in English, Tad Vishay. So they are his pravachanas on these different Upanishads that have been made available. But definitely there is a need to think of making the Upanishads and these texts a little more easy. ये किञ्चित् येषां ज्ञानं किञ्चित् अधिकम् अस्ति संस्कृतभाषायाः ते शङ्करभाष्यसहितं पठितुम् अर्हन्ति. You can read it with the Shankara Bhashyam as well, which will explain some of these, the meaning of the mantras, etc. Sri Arvindasya api anuvadaha santi. So you can get his translations of several of the Upanishads. So these kind of resources are available. But I will keep an eye out for the teaching of Upanishads or the presentation of the Upanishads in a sahaja manner. And that is really the need of the hour. There's also another organization called Sakshi, a Bangalore-based organization. You can also look up their bookstore, and you might find some insights into the Upanishads in an easier manner. Astu. Tatha asti. So I think I've got here another question. To make my understand my mother's sister, learn alphabet from your video and how to make understand new kids. So the way I normally present the learning of the letters is that don't try and learn all of it together. Maybe you do Today I will just learn But once you've learned it, then you just imagine that you're drawing it. Just imagine that you're drawing it as many times as you can, big, small, with your hand, with your body. Just play around with it. So this is the trick of also learning something. The more you repeat it in your mind, the more it makes these neural pathways. The more the neural pathways form around any piece of information, the greater the retention is. So that is a simple trick. So especially with mother sisters, the written aspect of it is the harder one. The spoken has the whole logic that I have presented a few times in my lessons. So if you can just remember the logic of sound, voice, unvoiced. So touch, sound, breath, sound, touch, breath, nasal, and then you understand the order in which sound comes out of the vocal system. These are simpler ways of remembering the Sanskrit Varnamala and also teaching it. It can be good fun for children because they discover their mouth with the learning of Sanskrit. They get split into laughter because of that. So I'll just get back to the questions here. Omkarji Vadati, it has been said about Panini. The one who can understand Panini's grammar Sanskrit, he will almost getting moksha, be almost getting moksha. Satyam, in the sense ki tatra shraddhaya यत् किमपि पठनं पूर्णश्रद्धया क्रियते तया श्रद्धया एव मोक्षप्राप्तिः सम्भवते. And Panini is so demanding. It's like ते कथयन्ति यत् क्षणे क्षणे यदि व्याकरणं न पठन्ति तर्हि व्याकरणं पठितुं तर्हि क्लेशः भवति. That if every moment you're not studying Sanskrit Vyakaranam, you can get lost very easily. तर्हि बहु तत्र श्रद्धया पठनीयं भवति. अस्तु. Maunaguptaji Vadati, how can we write Sanskrit? Is there a font available? So there is one software known as Sanskrit. It's a Sanskrit. I'll share it with you. It's a online thing. and we'll find more answers to this. So there is, we will get you more tools. We'll try and find more tools that you can use for the Sanskrit learning, and then you can, writing of the Sanskrit language. Wait a second, I'm just trying to get this for you. Tishtatu. Sanskrit. This is a very easy one. You can also get the transliteration. But only thing is that you need to know the equivalence of your keyboard of the letters. So we use this quite a lot actually. Direct typing akritva. Atra आङ्ग्लभाषायां लिखित्वा तत्र संस्कृततः नाम एकं conversion कृत्वा भवितुम् अर्हति. So you can just look up. I've shared a link for making Sanskrit writing easy. Typing Sanskrit easier. Astu. Mohiji Vadati, I've started posting management related Subhashitam and in English on the LinkedIn. I was wondering if I can use the Subhashitam from the course. Absolutely, Mohiji, please feel free to do so. And you have several Subhashita Sangrahas online. You will find tons of them. Niti Shatakam, Chanakya's Niti Shatakam is a very, very valuable. Vidura Niti, all these are very valuable texts for management kind of ideas. So please feel free to use whatever content that you find in my courses. The only sometimes Subhashitas, absolutely. It's just that sometimes if you're using something which is, an idea that you've got, to present it in a particular way, giving a reference sometimes is a helpful practice in general. But please feel free to take anything, use it the way you want to promote it, whichever way you want to do. Senthilji Vadati, can the next live session be on a Google Meet or Zoom Meet where we can also speak to you? Ritidi, is this possible? This is where I have to ask the.
Pardon, madam?
There are people who are asking that can they join? Can we have a live session on Zoom? Remember, during Corona, we had to do it like that.
Okay, ma'am. Actually, I have to ask the concerned person, then I'll let you know, ma'am.
Sure. So
Yeah.
definitely it'll be good fun to have that opportunity if it is
sure.
possible.
Sure,
So thank you very much, Riti ji. She's always there,
Thank
fully
you so much.
supporting this entire course. She's handling the back end work, making sure that the assignments come on time and everything is as as smooth as possible
Thank
for
you.
your
Thank you
learning
so much.
experience. So thank you, Riti ji,
Thank you.
Shushanta, the many people who are responsible, but mainly this time Riti ji is taking the lead to help us complete the work on time.
On behalf of everybody, thank you so much.
Hey, I tell you, it's a lot of work, and it's not easy
Yes.
for them to be chasing the teachers, professors to say, please give us this. But they're very, very patiently, uh, very helpful. Te asmakam sahayam kurvanti. Ataha bahu bahu dhanyavadaha. Only thing I keep saying is that you watch the Sanskrit so much. Kripaya Sanskritam pathantu. Sanskritam vadatu.
Right.
तदुत्तमं भविष्यति. तर्हि अत्र
True.
संस्कृत इस् द फ्यूचर् आफ् इण्डिया. भवत्याः मुखे पूर्णं गुड घी शर्करा वदति घृत गुडं च भवतु. यत् संस्कृतं भारतस्य भाषा भवेत्. विश्वभाषा तु भवितुमपि अर्हति, किन्तु भारतस्य भाषा तु भवेत् एव. कुतः नाम श्रीमा कथयति आश्रमस्य, सा कथयति यथा फ्रांस देशे प्रत्येकः शिशुः फ्रेंच भाषां जानाति, तथैव भारते प्रत्येक भारतीयः भारतीया च संस्कृतं जानीयात्, संस्कृतं वदेत् च. अस्तु. So basically the mother says that just as every child born in France knows French, every child born in Bharatam should know Sanskritam, because Sanskrit is a language of Bharata's soul. And anybody who has delved a little into Sanskrit would know the value of what has been said. Astu. Tari jayatu Sanskritam, jayatu Bharatam, jayatu Manukulam cha. With yoga becoming a world practice today, Sanskrit is the language that yoga practitioners do look at, because that is where all the original texts are. When they are doing the translations, when they're reading translations, they invariably hit a roadblock because you have 5 different translations of one sutra. How do you know which is the original one? That's when the journey to start the Sanskrit study happens. And then they have the freedom to study this the content in its original. And tasya mantra shakti tu bhinna eva asti. Astu. So, Bahu Dhanyavada to all those who made the effort to join and be present today for the sessions. Bahu Dhanyavada, Piyusha, and also to Ritidi again, and to all the NPTL team, to all of you, and Punar Milamaha. So Piyushji and Dolaji are absolutely active on the discussion forum. So please make sure that you're asking your questions. And Piyushji will also share the PPTs and the links for the advanced course. Astu.
Yes,
Huh?
yes.
Tat
I will
karishyama.
surely.
Tari sarvan tatrapi milama. Advanced level of spoken Sanskrit paठ्यक्रमे. बहु धन्यवादः. Namaste. Shubham bhavatu. Shubharatri.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rididi.
বন্ধ হয়ে আছে।
আমি